The snow was falling so thick that the streetlights seemed to glow with halos in the white darkness. It was 2 days before Christmas, and the city had been caught off guard by a blizzard that had swept in, faster than anyone had predicted. The streets were already covered with several inches of fresh snow, and the wind whipped it into swirling patterns that made it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. Marcus Callahan stepped out of his office building into the storm, pulling his dark overcoat tighter against the cold. He was 36 years old, with dark hair styled carefully back and the kind of tailored suit that spoke of success and careful attention to detail. As the CEO of Callahan Industries, a technology company his father had founded and he'd expanded into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, Marcus was used to being in control. He planned everything, anticipated problems, and solved them with efficiency. But he hadn't planned for this blizzard. His driver had called an hour ago to say the roads were becoming impassable, and Marcus had made the decision to walk the 8 blocks to his downtown apartment rather than wait. He'd grown up in this city, walked these streets as a child. A little snow wouldn't stop him. The Range Rover parked at the curb belonged to one of his executives who'd wisely left it here and taken a taxi home earlier. Marcus passed it without a second glance, his dress shoes crunching in the fresh snow as he began walking down the empty street. Most businesses had closed early, and the few people who'd been out had already hurried home. The city felt abandoned, wrapped in white silence broken only by the wind. He'd walked maybe 2 blocks when he saw her. At first, she was just a small shape on the stone steps, leading up to an old brownstone building. Marcus might have walked right past, assuming it was just a bundle of discarded clothes or bags someone had left behind. But then the shape moved, and he realized with a shock that it was a child. A little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, sat alone on the snow-covered steps. She wore a pink coat that was too thin for weather like this, and her blonde hair was pulled back in a braid that was coming loose. Her small feet and worn gray shoes swung slightly above the ground, and she stared straight ahead with an expression far too serious for such a young face. Marcus stopped, his business mind immediately trying to make sense of what he was seeing. A child alone in a blizzard in the middle of the city. Where were her parents? Why was she sitting here? He approached slowly, not wanting to frighten her. "Hello," he called out gently, raising his voice to be heard over the wind. "Are you all right?" The little girl turned to look at him, and Marcus saw that her cheeks were red from the cold and her eyes were bright with unshed tears. But she didn't look frightened of him. Instead, she studied his face with an intensity that was almost unsettling. "Are you Marcus Callahan?" she asked, her small voice clear despite the storm. Marcus felt his heart skip. "Yes, I am." "How do you know my name?" "My mom showed me your picture," the girl said. "She said if I saw you, I should tell you we need help." "She said you're the only one who can help us." Marcus crouched down so he was at her eye level, snow immediately soaking into the knees of his expensive trousers. "Where is your mother, sweetheart?" The little girl's lower lip trembled. "She's at home. She's sick. She sent me to find you because she said you'd be leaving your building around now. She said you always leave at 6:30 on Wednesdays." A chill ran down Marcus's spine that had nothing to do with the cold. "How does your mother know when I leave my building?" "She used to work there," the girl said simply. "Before she got sick." Marcus's mind was racing. He employed nearly 300 people in this building alone. Without a name or description, he couldn't possibly know who this child's mother was. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Lily," the girl said. "Lily Foster." Foster. The name sparked something in Marcus's memory, but he couldn't quite grasp it. "And your mother's name?" "Amanda Foster," Lily said. "She was your secretary." "Before Miss Helen." And suddenly Marcus remembered. Amanda Foster had been his executive assistant 3 years ago, a quiet woman in her late 20s who'd been efficient and professional. She'd left rather suddenly, Marcus recalled, giving only 2 weeks' notice. She'd said something about family obligations, about needing to relocate. He'd been disappointed to lose her, but had respected her decision and hired Helen to replace her. "I remember your mother," Marcus said carefully. "But Lily, why did she send you out in this storm to find me?" "Why didn't she just call?" Lily's eyes filled with tears that spilled over onto her cold, reddened cheeks. "Because she's too proud to ask for help on the phone. She said she needed to see you in person, but she's too sick to leave the apartment, so she sent me to find you and bring you back. She said—" Lily paused, wiping her eyes with small mittened hands. "She said she was sorry for asking, but we don't have anyone else." Marcus felt something crack in his chest. Whatever was happening here, whatever Amanda Foster needed, it had to be serious for her to send her young daughter out into a blizzard to find him. "Where do you live, Lily?" he asked. 4 blocks that way," Lily pointed down the street. "Mom said you'd pass right by our building if you were walking home like you usually do." Marcus made a decision. "Can you take me there? To your mother?" Lily nodded and stood up from the steps, wobbling slightly. Marcus realized she must have been sitting there for a while, waiting for him in the cold. He took off his overcoat and wrapped it around her small shoulders. It swallowed her completely, but at least it was warm. "Come on," he said, offering his hand. "Let's go see your mom." Lily's small hand slipped into his, trusting and cold even through her mittens. They walked together down the snowy street, Marcus adjusting his stride to match her shorter steps. The wind had picked up and visibility was getting worse. Marcus wondered how this small child had made it 4 blocks through this storm alone, and felt his respect for her courage grow with each step. The building Lily led him to was old and worn, in a part of downtown that had seen better days. The brick was crumbling in places, and the entrance door stuck when Marcus tried to open it. They climbed 3 flights of narrow stairs that smelled of cooking and damp. And finally, Lily stopped in front of a door marked 3C. She knocked in a pattern, 3 quick raps followed by 2 slower ones. "It's me, Mama," she called. "I found him." The door opened almost immediately, and Marcus saw Amanda Foster for the first time in 3 years. He barely recognized her. The efficient, neatly dressed assistant he remembered had been transformed into a woman who looked like she was holding on by a thread. She was painfully thin, her face gaunt and pale, and she leaned heavily against the doorframe as if standing took all her strength. But her eyes were the same, intelligent and determined, and they filled with tears when she saw Marcus standing there with her daughter. "Mr. Callahan," she whispered. "You came. I wasn't sure. I told Lily you would, but I wasn't sure." "Amanda," Marcus said, and the shock in his voice was evident. "What's happened to you?" Amanda's smile was sad. "A lot. Please, come in. You must think I'm crazy. Sending my daughter out in a blizzard to track you down like some kind of stalker." Marcus stepped into the small apartment, and what he saw made his heart ache. It was clean but sparse, with minimal furniture and walls that needed paint. A small Christmas tree sat in the corner, decorated with handmade ornaments and a few twinkling lights. But it was warm, and there was evidence of love everywhere. From the drawings taped to the refrigerator, to the worn teddy bear, sitting on the threadbare couch. Amanda closed the door and moved slowly to sit down, as if every movement required careful thought. Lily immediately went to her side, and Amanda wrapped her arm around her daughter with visible relief. "I'm sorry to ask you here like this," Amanda began. "I know it's strange and probably concerning, but I didn't know what else to do. And time," she paused, her voice breaking slightly. "Time is something I don't have much of anymore." Marcus sat down across from them, his wet clothes forgotten. "Tell me what's going on, please." The story that emerged over the next 30 minutes was heartbreaking. Amanda explained that shortly after leaving Callahan Industries 3 years ago, she'd been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She'd left her job because she couldn't keep up with the demands while undergoing treatment, and she'd wanted to spend as much time with Lily as possible. Her parents were both deceased, and Lily's father had never been in the picture. "I've been fighting it for 3 years," Amanda said quietly. "I've done everything the doctors recommended, but it's spread, and they've told me I probably have 6 months, maybe less. My biggest fear isn't dying, Mr. Callahan. It's leaving Lily alone." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "You don't have any family who can take care of her?" Amanda shook her head. "No one. I've been trying to figure out what to do, but the state will put her in foster care when I'm gone. And she's such a special little girl. She deserves more than to be shuffled through the system, to lose everything familiar when she's already lost so much. So why did you send her to find me?" Marcus asked gently. "I don't understand what you think I can do." Amanda looked at him with those determined eyes, and Marcus saw the strength that was keeping her going despite her failing body. Because I worked for you for 2 years. Mr. Callahan, I saw the kind of man you are. I saw how you treated people, how you valued loyalty and compassion even in business. And I know—" She paused, seeming to gather her courage. "I know you lost your wife 5 years ago. I know you don't have children. And I thought maybe, just maybe, you might consider taking care of Lily when I'm gone." The request hit Marcus like a physical blow. He sat back, unable to speak for a moment. Amanda was asking him to adopt her daughter, a child he'd just met, a responsibility he'd never planned for. "Amanda," he began, his voice uncertain in a way that was completely unfamiliar to him. That's an enormous thing to ask." "I know," Amanda said, tears streaming down her face now. "I know it is. And if you say no, I understand. But I had to ask. I had to try. Because when I think about who I'd want raising my daughter, who I'd want teaching her about the world, and helping her become the person she's meant to be, I think